Why wouldn't we trust our 18 intelligence agencies more than we trust a foreign government?
Well, that foreign government had completely penetrated Iran. We did not have that level of penetration that they did. Having Iran have a nuclear weapon, their ballistic missile technology is so sophisticated. They were building missiles that could go farther and farther and farther, not just to hit Israel. They were targeting us, or eventually, and we deserve it. And our dead friends deserve it, and their families. But I will say, this is not the same thing. Like, you want this regime that creates these terror proxies that we know have killed Americans, like aggressively gone after us. You want them to have a nuke. You want them to give that, nuclear weapon technology to the freaking Houthis and whoever else. I don't. And so just because one thing was wrong doesn't mean this is right. Or this isn't right. I just like having Iran have a nuclear weapon, like their ballistic missile technology. It's worth saying this too. Their ballistic missile technology was so sophisticated. They were building missiles that could go farther and farther and farther, not just to hit Israel. What were they going to do with those ballistic missiles that could travel so far? They were targeting us, or eventually. So it was in our national interest to make sure that they never got a nuclear weapon. And I think if Israel had the technology to do it themselves, I think we would have let them and we wouldn't have gotten involved. But unfortunately, we are the only ones that have that technology. We have the B-2, we have these bunker busters. Maybe we'll start selling those to Israel. Great. But it's in our interest too. Like, they are coming for us too. So
I know they're coming for us. I'm not saying that at all, but there was a couple other things that came out. I mean, I know you have a lot of friends and acquaintances still in intelligence, and probably a lot more than I do. I still have a couple. But, I talked to one person. They said not one of our 18 intelligence agencies reported that Iran had nuclear capabilities. In fact, March 2025, Tulsi Gabbard, this is her. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei, sorry, I butchered his name, has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. And then in June of 25, quoted, America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months. If they decide to finalize the assembly, President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree. And so, I mean, how did this all change just within a couple of months? They had no capability. Now all of a sudden, I mean, after years and years of intel,
yeah.
all of a sudden in a couple of months, oh shit, they've got nuclear capabilities. We need to take care of this. That didn't come from us. That came from Mossad. Why wouldn't we trust our 18 intelligence agencies more than we trust a foreign government?
Well, that foreign government had completely penetrated Iran, and we hadn't. I mean, we see their operations potentially ongoing even now. So targeted, so specific. We weren't where they were, and they saw things that we didn't. And I love a good conspiracy as much as the next person, but like, they have to get this right. I mean, we did not have, in my opinion, based on what I saw previously, we did not have that level of penetration that they did, and that was a game changer.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. It's just things that I don't understand because I don't have a full picture, and with a lot of the stuff that you could read on the internet, I mean, it just gets you real.
No, but it's tough, Sean, because people hear that and they're like, oh, the Israelis told us, so we just believe them, and then we're gonna go take out their biggest enemy. I get that, and it sucks. It also happens to be true, so I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it is. I wish that we had better collection inside of Iran, that we had better collection. Now things are changing, but not in terms of us, but what's going to happen with the regime, I don't know anymore because they're totally defenseless right now.
I mean, do you just going back on our earlier conversation when we were talking about analysts and intelligence folks? I mean, not knowing what they're doing because of where they came from the Ivy League schools. I mean, do you think that played into why we didn't have that type of intelligence?
I think that's part of it. Yeah. I think that's part of it. I think just our general risk aversion is overwhelming. And you were in the CIA. You saw like institutionally, they're risk averse. Hopefully now things are changing there. But I don't know. And I know I was extremely frustrated by how little was going on. I'm like, 4 years ago, we could see the trajectory of this whole thing with Iran, right? With them building the nukes, whether you want to parse that they're this close or that close. The intelligence community started playing these games where they're like, well, they can if they decided to make a nuclear weapon, they could do it within, a very short period of time. But it's like with medium, I think at the time it was like medium, what do you call it? Sorry, that they had medium confidence of that assessment. I'm like, so you don't know anything, basically. Like I'm supposed to make decisions off of this, or I'm supposed to advise my boss's boss about like based on that. That's not that helpful. And of course, having been an intelligence analyst before, I know like I get it, and I don't want to like beat the dead horse too much. I mean, sometimes you have what you have to work with, unfortunately, and but I think at the end of the day, the president in his first term, President Trump made it clear, no new wars. He didn't want to go to war with Iran. He wanted a deal. There were things that we could have done back then, like beneath the level of armed conflict, we have authorities that we can use to do certain things that are, in the gray zone. Sean, you know about all of that. We could have done that, and I didn't really see anyone who could have done it do it.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it led to a scenario where there was no other option. The only option was this big kinetic public thing. Could we have potentially avoided that earlier with a little more risk taking? I think so. And again, no accountability for any of that at all.
Yeah. Is it true that in Trump's first term he took the inspectors of the nuclear facilities out
I don't know. I don't know
in
about that.
Iran? Okay. That's something I've been wanting to dive into. But anyways, let's move on. So we have a lot of stuff to discuss. And I really am excited to get into the Iraq war with you. But I thought it would be good to do somewhat of a life story, and then we can go down rabbit holes along the way.
Great.
So where did you grow up?
Well, my parents are American, but they met and married in Italy. So I was born in the U.S., but I spent my early years in Rome. And actually, Italian's my first language.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It's beautiful, but not that helpful in outside of like restaurants and going on nice trips. But yeah, I so we moved to DC when I was like 4. My father was a university professor at the time, and he started getting death threats from the communists. There was the Red Brigades, very active in left-wing terrorists, communist terrorists, very active in Italy, and they had killed a bunch of people there. And he got a death threat, and I was very young, and he was like, "We out." So we came to the U.S. he got a job at a think tank at Georgetown University, and so I grew up in DC, in the DC area, swamp creature.
Swamp creature.
My mother worked. My parents ended up both working in the Reagan administration. My father went to the State Department and eventually to the National Security Council, and my mother was working at the Pentagon doing technology transfer, like trying to keep the Soviets from getting our best technology.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's where I grew up, and then I ended up. My father, unfortunately, at the National Security Council, ended up working in the same office with Oliver North and Bud McFarlane, and was swept up in the Iran-Contra affair. I was 12 when all that happened, and I had a pretty uncomfortable exchange with the principal of the school that I was in.
Spring cleaning season is here, and I'm most excited to finally ditch my old deodorant. I just started using Mando whole body deodorant, and I'm not going back. From the founders of Lumi, Mando was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control it for up to 72 hours. And get this, it's proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. Safe to use anywhere on your body, pits, balls, feet, wherever you need it. It's baking soda free, paraben free, and aluminum free. Honestly, I was skeptical at first. I've tried a lot of deodorants, and they all kind of do the same thing. But Mando, it's just different. I've been using it all over, and I do mean all over, and I'm not getting that end of the day funk that I used to. You can find Mando at Walmart, Target, and retailers across the country. If you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula, now's the time. New customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code SRCLIPS at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide. Some men mask their body odor with scents. Mando men get the job done right. Don't mask it, Mando it. Use code SRCLIPS at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
Who asked me if my father was guilty. And I went home that day and told my mother, and she was like, well, you don't have to go back to that school ever again. And so kind of mid-year, I switched to a new school, very bougie, all-girls school, where like everyone's dad was way more important than mine and no one cared. And I only learned later, how much of a struggle that was for my parents to be able to pay that tuition, because it was like one of those borderline things where they didn't qualify for any kind of scholarship, and frankly, I wasn't a good enough student to get any kind of scholarship, anything. But they they sacrificed a lot to pay for my education, and I'm very grateful. But anyway, yeah, so I went through high school there, and then off to college.
Where'd you go?
I went to a school called Brandeis University in Massachusetts, and I did not do particularly well in school, in high school. But when I got to college, I realized that I knew more than a lot of other people just because my school was so good. And it all started to make sense. Like, why did I have to go there and not just public school? So yeah, I remain very grateful for that. But yeah, I went to Brandeis University, majored in European cultural studies, just so that I could get credit for a full year overseas. Pretty much always wanted to travel, live overseas, had the wanderlust. And so I went to Italy and did in my mind, I had this eat, pray, love thing I went to Florence and thought it would be this great adventure, but I made a critical mistake, which was I actually did a program at the University of Florence, which was like hard as shit. So I had to do it. It was in Italian, and you go to the way they do it there is like you go to lectures, you read this whole pile of books, they give you the reading list, and like you have one exam at the end of the year, and it's an oral exam in front of a panel of professors, and it's like half an hour, and they can ask you anything. And that sucked. I had no eat pray love situation. I had like study study study, and but I learned a lot, and Florence was beautiful, and I got out of Brandeis, which already was like crazy left. Coming from DC, I wanted nothing to do with politics. I just wanted to be like normal kid, normal experiences. I mean, when I was young, I remember in DC, we had like Jean Kirkpatrick over for dinner one night. And my father was like delayed at work. So it was like me and my mom with Jean Kirkpatrick, the ambassador to the United Nations. I mean, if you ever look her up on YouTube, she was like a serious person. Okay, serious person. And I guess our oven broke. My mom was putting some like frozen hors d'oeuvres or whatever in the oven to warm up, and the oven was broken. So she sent me next door, like to use the next door neighbor's oven. And I got stopped by the Secret Service because I'm running back and forth with food. They're like, "What are you doing with the food?" And that was I had a weird childhood. It was not like a lot of other kids. So when I went to college, I just wanted to be normal. And but instead, there was just all this craziness already. And like we had, I forget what year it was, maybe in my sophomore year, we had a big student event, which was Angela Davis was invited as a speaker. Angela Davis, former vice presidential candidate under the Communist Party. She was briefly on the FBI's 10 most wanted list for like busting her boyfriend out of court. I think a judge was killed in the process.
Wow.
So she was invited to speak at my school, and she was being paid out of student funds. And I was like, absolutely not. And that was also, I ended up kind of speaking out about that a little bit because I'm like, this is crazy. And you're not even telling the students who this person is. Like, she's bad news. And anyway, it was even back then, it was a problem. And I'm 50 years old, so this was a few years ago. But yeah, so I just I went overseas for a year, just kind of did that thing and came back. I wrote an honors thesis and got out of there. And I don't think I've ever been back to Boston since then. It was like way too cold for me, and just not great memories. But I got through it and I finished, which was my goal. And then I came back to DC, got a job briefly, like for a tech company, just kind of feeling my way around, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And I got this job working for a guy who had invented something that was acquired by a company called Lucent Technologies, which doesn't exist anymore. But he made like over $1 billion off of it. And he decided that he was going to start up all these related tech companies that would like be each other's customers. And I worked for him. I mean, I was like basically one level above intern, but it was cool. And anyway, from there I went to business school. And I went to business school in Italy, but that was right when 9/11 happened. It kind of changed my life.
Yeah, I saw that. How did it change your life?
Well, one of my mother's like best friends was on the plane that hit the Pentagon, and we at the time I was like a few blocks away. I was in Pentagon City, and so you could feel the apartment building shake when the
Wow.
plane hit. And we already knew, we'd already heard about what had happened in New York City. And I didn't know till later that day that Barbara was on that plane. Barbara Olson was her name. And it turned out that she had switched her flight at the last minute. She was supposed to, she was like a political commentator. She wrote, her last book was about Hillary Clinton. Not a fan. And she was on her way. I think she was supposed to go to Bill Maher's show. That's why she was on that flight. It was going to Los Angeles. And her husband's birthday was September 11th. So she, at the last minute, she changed her flight so that she could be with her husband on the morning of his birthday.
Oh,
And
man.
when he got to bed that night, he found that she had left him a note as well. But yeah, that changed my life. It changed the life of our entire family, my two younger brothers as well. So I was already about to leave. I was about to leave for business school in Milan, and everything was grounded, and I had time to, think about everything, go to Barbara's memorial service, and just kind of be with her widower, with Ted, and just think about, like, do I even give a shit about any of this anymore? Like, I had all these plans to go, whatever, have more European adventures or whatever, and I'm like, I don't care about any of that anymore. I I came from, I've been so lucky. I came from a great family. I have a great education. I need to serve my country now. And I didn't know how, but the seed was planted. And as I thought about it, I realized, like, what is school? You go to school to learn a certain set of tools that you can use however you want. So that's when I started to get the idea, like, there's going to be somebody tracking terrorist money. So I'm going to go to business school. I'm going to learn about international finance, and then I'm going to figure out how to help do that. And that's what I
Wow.
ended up doing.
Wow.